and greetings to the chairperson of SAMSA and the acting CEO and the industry players converged on this platform. We take this time to say that we, as a fishing industry, appreciate the opportunity and also appreciate the platform to also listen, to other speakers who are also role players affecting our sector as well. I think for us, really, first of all, is to thank SAMSA for the role that it really played in 2020, in particular at the beginning of the hard lockdown, because we actually needed them a lot to come on board. We communicated with them on a regular basis to try and clarify some of the regulations and the notices that kept coming, which had a direct impact on our sector. As you would know, we are one of the sectors that was and still recognized as an essential service. So we continued to operate even at that stage. So it was quite important for us to be able to work in partnership with SAMSA and other stakeholders, including Transnet. And I mentioned this because no one could have prepared what happened, including the lockdown and the number of regulations that came into play and the measures that had to be put in place. So without that collaboration, really, things would have been a lot tougher to the industry. It was an industry that was also under a lot of strain even before the hard lockdown. Some of you may be aware that the emergence of the coronavirus, happened first in the East and in some of very important markets for some of our sectors. So when the lockdown happened in South Africa towards the end of March in 2020, some of our sectors had been in lockdown since January, really, if you're looking from an export point of view. So we met the South African lockdown while we're already struggling in some subsectors of the fishing industry. So when then the lockdown took place, it was really a last nail in the coffin. But again, one would appreciate the role that all the stakeholders played, whether it's Ports Authority and SAMSA, because we had to keep updating the measures that are put in place in respect of our crew, also ensuring that we now no longer only look at the safety in terms of incidents that happen in the sea, but we also need to look at safety, taking into account COVID-19 as well. So 2020 was a tough year, and I think generally all business in South Africa would say that. While we as an industry were able to retain all jobs in the main in almost all sectors, but we did that at the back of a very hard time. We worked very closely also with the department to try and make some concessions and get some exemptions in order to keep working, in order to keep fishing during these times, to try and really protect jobs. And this was a very difficult process that involved a lot of sacrifices from our members as well, the companies that operate in different sizes, both small and big. There were programs that, of course, had to take a back seat also from an industry that would have planned. But having said that, we still could do what we could do with other players. We could still collaborate, with other players to try and salvage whatever we could salvage in 2020. The biggest focus for us, as many of you would know, is the rights allocation process, fishing rights allocation process, which is known as FREP 2021. This was the process that in 2019 the minister had postponed, and we were basically looking to start that process in 2020 to ensure that by end of 2021, all those rights are now reallocated. And these are 15-year rights that are allocated to different sectors. And this period, we've got 12 sectors, and they really involve 45% of the value of the fishing industry. So this is a very big project that the department has to undertake. And we obviously, in the middle of COVID, a lot of things needed to happen and a lot of postponements as well, including the fact that now you could no longer have the sort of public engagements that one would be looking at. And at the same time, the department itself was severely under strain because of some of the project that it now had to undertake, including budgetary issues. And at the same time, the industry being very nervous in terms of saying what is going to happen now, given the fact that the rights were expiring at the end of December 2020, and the business in general need to plan, need certainty in terms of the policy in order to plan ahead. That happened while there was also legislative and other regulatory requirements to try and be compliant in terms of the business, whether be compliant in terms of our seagoing staff members or also our factories on land. But it was an effort that needed a lot of work in terms of all our stakeholders, including the labor, to bring on board and to develop strategies and also protocols that speak to the safety of our workers. So it was not just a question of we were proud not to lose any of our members in terms of retrenchments, but also we had to make a lot of sacrifices and bring everybody around to develop systems and plans, while at the same time talking to the department in terms of the FREP process to ensure that the FREP process continues and that all the necessary legal impediments and exemptions are also put in place. SAMSA is an important stakeholder, Chair and the acting CEO for the industry, and we continue to engage through the National Fishing Forum, which is an important platform that brings together various players that focuses on matters that looks into fishing. There are other programs that, of course, if I had time, I would speak about that we probably need to look at now in 2021 as the COVID-19 eases. We try to get back to them to try and invigorate those programs because they are to the benefit of our sector, but they also speak to some of the objectives and strategic objectives of SAMSA as well. And I'm very glad to hear from Mr. Mtati because we have just before lockdown, we had been engaging on a lot of issues in relating to skills and skills audit, and also talking to SAMSA around those issues. And I'm sure this year in 2021 we are going to revisit some of the plans that we have had and some of the engagements that took a backseat during this period. So we're looking forward to 2021, and I understand that we've also made already plans to talk to the leadership of SAMSA around some of the issues that we as a fishing industry wish to present to him, and some of the issues that, or rather decisions that SAMSA also has that have an impact and an effect on our sector. 2021 is certainly an important year, not only that we want to also participate in assisting government in terms of vaccination as a sector, because we recognize that the number of workers we have, over 33,000 workers directly employed by the sector, and their families. We're working very hard with organized business to look into that as to how we can assist when that opportunity comes. But beyond that, there is obviously FREP that is going to consume the 12 sectors, because it's important that we get over FREP. It's important for our economy, it's important for production of jobs, important for the creation of jobs and further investment in the sector. So you will hear a lot in 2021 about FREP, but that does not mean we will not continue engaging on other equally important issues with other stakeholders that have an effect in our sector, that include obviously the boat building sector. We particularly need to work also together with the local boat manufacturing sector on the different platforms where we serve, including also at the Operation Pakisa platforms, but also with SAIMI on a skills and training side, and obviously with SAMSA as well, and the Ports Authority on various other engagements. So we look forward to those engagements, notwithstanding the fact that you will hear a lot more about FREP. We will definitely not relegate other important matters such as the ones that I have mentioned. Chair, I think I will not take further more time on these issues, but we also just want to appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the platform, and appreciate all the collaborative effort that we've had. The engagement with SAMSA in particular at the beginning of the lockdown, or what we call a hard lockdown, we're quite exemplary on how we can work together in responding to crisis times. And I think the availability of some of your staff members to assist the industry is something that other agencies, in particular state agencies, can learn from to try and help the industry. Because at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, and that is that the projects, or rather the activities that the business is doing and the regulator, we all want them to succeed. And I think you demonstrated that. We wish that 2021 will also begin with the same spirit to try and work together and to try and try and find common grounds to the betterment of all the industries. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.